Imagine being able to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies without having to give up all your personal details. Hi, I'm Mark from the Bitcoin Tutor, and today we're going to talk about something called KYC, which is an abbreviation, an acronym for Know Your Customer. Now, especially after the 9/11 attacks with the Patriot Act in the US and now really a global phenomenon, that you actually require lots of identifying information to work in the financial system. It's no longer very easy to just open a bank account. You have to show quite a bit of identification and proof of where you live and things like that. This is all part of the KYC requirement. And the idea is to, well, as the banks like to say, to protect you and your assets. It's really about protecting them, let's be honest. And in the crypto world, if you're working with a centralized exchange that's regulated, especially those that deal with the fiat currency of that country, so such as Coinbase or other cryptocurrencies exchanges that work with fiat currencies, it's really important that they collect, and they're required to by law collect KYC information. Some people would prefer to keep more private. Not because we're trying to do something wrong, but because the fewer people that know, then there's more security, there's more privacy. Otherwise there's a complete trail of everything that's come into your world and everything that's moved on. And so one of the greatest ways to manage security is with privacy. So there are some solutions, even for Americans who are very regulated by the SEC and other agencies. So I'm going to cover that right now. So again, we've covered what KYC is, and again, the concerns. The concerns are privacy and really a loss of financial freedom. If everybody knows what you have, there's a certain risk. If someone knows you have crypto or quite a large amount of crypto, that can bring up quite a concern. And people will necessarily find a way or try to find a way to get it, right? Criminals get smarter and smarter and find new ways to be criminals, whether it's in real life or online. So let's take a look at one of the best options here. One of the best options is something called a decentralized exchange. So most of the exchanges you may have heard about, like Coinbase and Kraken and Binance, these are all centralized exchanges, or CEXs. And these are very common, and these are usually the place you go to use fiat currency so that you can have your on-ramp and your off-ramp. And that's a term that we use, meaning how to go from dollars and euros and pounds to crypto. That's an on-ramp. And then how do you go back to dollars and euros and cryptos when you want to cash out? And that would be your off-ramp. In general, centralized exchanges do a good job at this. And that's one of the main reasons that even experienced crypto traders still use them. It's also the place where basically every newbie to crypto buys and holds their crypto. And I have another video on this channel about why that's a bad idea to keep all your cryptos at these centralized exchanges. If you look about securing your cryptos, but it is very convenient for short periods of time. So a decentralized exchange means that they never hold your funds. It's actually a place where you can swap from one cryptocurrency to another. So you already have to be in the crypto world. Generally, you can't use fiat currency in these cases. So some of the exchanges that are doing a good job at no KYC at this point is a company called Blofin. That's BLOFIN. And the other interesting thing about this company is they also allow derivatives and futures trading. If you want to do leverage trading and you're a sophisticated trader, this also allows you to do that at that site. Now, I'll give a caveat to especially Americans right now. Many of these sites are blocked from access in the US. So we'll talk a little bit about one way to get around that, a good way to get around that in just a moment. There's another site called BISQ, spelled BISQ, and this is another good option for a decentralized exchange. Another one is CoinEx, CoinEx, Coin Exchange, I believe is what it's short for. And then finally, there's MEXC, so MEXC. Now, MEXC is also another derivatives exchange. It's also a place where you can leverage your trades and do active trading, not just what we call spot investing or spot trading. Just to clarify that terminology, spot trading is the idea of going in and exchanging either cash or another crypto for the crypto that you want. So you're exchanging at the standard rate and there's no leverage, you're not dealing with a futures contract or anything like that. A second way to do this is known as peer-to-peer or P2P, if it's abbreviated, trading. And this simply means rather than even going through a centralized exchange or a decentralized exchange, you actually just trade one person to another. Now, this has existed since the beginning of crypto, where people would go into a cafe and someone would get $200 cash and someone would transfer Bitcoin to their mobile wallet. So this is not new, but there are now companies that help make this simpler by providing an escrow service between two parties. So you don't have to necessarily physically meet. A couple of the companies that do this include one called HODL HODL. So that's HODL twice. You can search for that. Another one is BitGet. And BitGet is a centralized exchange, but they also have a P2P version. So if you search for BitGet P2P, you'll find that they have the person-to-person or peer-to-peer option. And then going back to MEXC again, MEXC, they also have a P2P option. Now, there are many, and I'm not recommending any particular one, but if this is something that you're interested in, definitely search for crypto P2P, and you should be able to find a number of different companies that offer this escrow and that make it a bit safer to exchange person to person, because you never know who you're meeting with, and you want to make sure that if you're going to do this, that it's a safe transaction. So a few things to keep in mind here. So as I mentioned before, a lot of U.S. people are prevented from some of these best investments. And again, it's always the reason that it's for your safety or it's for your security, which we all know is nonsense. It's not. It's because they want only the accredited investors, people with lots of money, to make more and more money, as opposed to the retail investor that typically don't have $1 million to invest, right? That we're just trying to improve our financial situation. So one way to do that, in fact, the best way, is using a VPN, a virtual private network. Now, there are many on the market. There's Proton VPN. There's even a no KYC VPN known as Mullvad, MULLVAD VPN. And you can even pay in crypto on a monthly basis, and they don't even have to know who you are. You don't have to give them anything but an email, and it could just be a disposable Gmail account. So if you're really trying to be off the grid, Mullvad might be a good option for you. What that does, though, does two main things, these VPNs. It encrypts your communications, and by encrypting it, it makes it harder for other people to sort of tap into what you're doing. But it also allows you, and in this case of crypto, to appear as if you're somewhere else. So instead of appearing like you're in the US, when you run the VPN on your computer or even your phone, it allows you to appear like you're in Mexico, or you appear in some other crypto-friendly jurisdiction. So you would do that, and then you could use some of these exchanges that have been blocked for US customers. Of course, it's totally up to you to make this decision. This is for education. I'm not advising that you break the law. Currently in the US, it's not a law to not run a VPN, but I can imagine that in some jurisdictions, having a VPN is against the law. So definitely, be aware of what you choose to do. And again, I'm here giving you some ideas about what's possible. When I was living in the US, I would definitely use a VPN from time to time as well. In closing here, there's a few tips here to stay safe, and I want to make sure I leave these with you. So first, check the reputation of your trading partners. If you're not familiar with the exchange, the centralized, decentralized, or P2P exchange, do a little digging to make sure that they'll be there tomorrow as well, that they will likely be able to complete your transaction and not just take your money and run. Many of those don't last that long, but you want, this is your hard-earned money. So take a look and make sure that people are liking the company. If you're going to go P2P, person to person, definitely use an escrow service. Again, these P2P sites help with that. You pay a small fee, and what they do is they make sure that you get paid and then they get the Bitcoin. So they both go into escrow and then they complete the transaction. Okay, very much like buying a house or something like this. If you're having these large amounts of money, you want to make sure that the transaction goes through properly. Another interesting point here in closing is avoid reversible payments like credit cards and PayPal and things like that, because some of these could charge back on you and may cause a problem. It's better to pay cash or wire transfer or something that cannot be reversed. We're talking about cryptos, which are also one way. Those aren't reversed once you own the coins. So it's a good idea to make sure that your transaction will be finalized. And then if you're meeting a person to exchange cash for cryptos, make sure you're doing it in a well-lit place and bring a friend. Don't do this on your own. You never know what's going to go on. And go to a public place if you're going to do that. So in conclusion, buying Bitcoin and other cryptos without KYC is possible, but you want to take extra caution. And of course, it takes a little extra effort. So do your research, realize that this is possible. Even for Americans, you can do this. And this will increase your level of security and privacy. Please subscribe to this channel so you get more great tips. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.